Positivity and resilience and happiness. I just feel like it shapes your whole life. Like nobody is going to care about your happiness except for you. You know, if you really think about it, like nobody's going to prioritize your happiness except for yourself. So like, why not set yourself up for success?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Day in the Life. Today, I'm joined by Jordan Ashley, who is an entrepreneur and started her own marketing company. And Jordan and I, we went to college together. We're in the same sorority, and I'm just super excited to catch up with her and on her journey and learn about being an entrepreneur and all the things. So, welcome, Jordan.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess just start off with your career journey. How did you get to where you are now?
Oh, great question. I feel like I have a very interesting answer to this because I've kind of been all over the place. But I went to Presbyterian College. I was a softball student athlete there and a Tri Sigma. And I super loved my experience there. I thought I was going to be an accountant. I thought I wanted to be a CPA, so I got my undergrad in business management and accounting. I did a double major. And then I took an internship in accounting and quickly found out that was not for me. I didn't fit in with the crowd. I talked way too much and I needed to be more creative. Not that you can't be creative in accounting, I just wasn't seeing it. So I kind of had a mini freak out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a senior. I have no idea what I'm going to do now. I thought I wanted to do this and I don't. So my father asked me a really important question and he was like, what is something that brings you joy? And at the time I was like, sports bring me joy. I was a softball student athlete. I was super involved. I was on a committee called National SAC, which stands for Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I got really high up in that organization. So I was like, maybe I'll love sports. So the Big South Conference took a chance on me and gave me my first job as a marketing assistant in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was such a great experience working for them. I got to go through a rebranding process. I did a lot of sponsorship fulfillment. It was a really great place to be. But I was there a year and I got an itch to get my MBA. I'm like, I want to get my MBA. I think it will help me shape my future because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. So I started looking for graduate assistantships because I didn't want to be in debt. So I started looking for graduate assistantships and I wanted to be in a ranked MBA program. I wanted to work in a collegiate athletic department and I wanted to work for a woman because I had only worked for men. Even through college, like most of my supervisors were men. And I was like, screw this. Women are powerful. I want to work for a woman. So I looked for all those things across the country and I found Illinois State University and it checked every one of my boxes. Interviewed for the GA position, prepped for 2 weeks for that interview. And when I tell you that I killed that interview, I killed it. So this is a little shout out to prep for your interviews, people. Prep for your interviews. Anyways, took the job, moved 14 hours from home to Normal, Illinois, which I thought was kind of cute. I'm like, Normal, Illinois. Okay, let's go. So went there, started my MBA program as a graduate assistant. 8 months into it, they offered me a full-time job as assistant director of marketing for athletics. Took it, loved it. A year into that, they offered me the director of marketing position there because they loved me and I was like loving it there. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I was still in my MBA program at the time. So I was like, why not, get the experience. Then I met a girl in my MBA program named Emily McMahon, who pulled me aside after class one day. And she was like, hey, you sound super knowledgeable in social media marketing. And I was like, hey, I am knowledgeable in social media marketing. And she was like, have you ever thought about freelancing? And I was like, I have not. And she's like, well, I do some freelance on the side, mostly SEO, Google Ads work. Would you have any interest in doing social freelancing for some of my clients? And I was like, sure, why not? So I got my first client, and it was like $200 a month. And I was like, this is fun, just a little extra money. Can go buy some shoes. I have a shoe problem. I really like shoes. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I got another client. And then I got another client. And then she was like, do you want to do this? Do you want to start this business? And I was like, yeah, I do. Let's do it. So January of 2020, we started 3MC Media, and we're a full digital marketing agency. We have 2 employees now, and a couple of writers. And we started it in January 2020. The pandemic hit in March. And I was like, oh no, what is going to happen? But actually, sports completely shut down. So I was still working my full-time job. Sports completely shut down. There were no events. Obviously, everybody knows everybody went in depression mode. But I was stuck at home and I needed a creative outlet, and that outlet was my business. Like, I just dove into the business. And by the time we were back in person at Illinois State with sports and events happening, I was making more money in my business than I was at my full-time job. And I was like, I think I want to try this. I think I want to do this full time. And it was really hard to walk away because I loved my boss at Illinois State. But I kind of thought to myself, I'm 27, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. Like, nobody is depending on me right now but me. So if there's an opportunity in life to like go for your dream, it's right now, Jordan. So I put in my 2 weeks. I actually gave them 3 because they asked me to, and I really liked them. But I put in my, notice that I was leaving. I quit. And then I had a mental breakdown because I was like, oh my God, I just gave up stability. But I quickly realized stability is a lie. It's a facade. There's really no stability in life. So that was a long-winded answer, and this is where I am today.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge leap to take.
It is. But I'm happy I did it. I'm happier than I've ever been in life right now. So yeah, it's so exciting. Every day is different.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, I have a lot of questions for you, but one thing is maybe just back up to, so while you were doing your MBA, you
Yeah.
were working full time. So you had an assistantship, and I when I did my master's, I had an assistantship as well, and it was a part-time thing. So then once you got that position that you had, was it a full-time kind of job that you had to
It
switch?
was a full-time job. So my classes were at night. So I would work 8 to 4:30 every day. And then I would go to class at night. And then I would somehow find a way to like study and do projects and write papers. Most of grad school is papers, is what I learned quickly. But yeah, I did it full time. I did.
Yeah. I guess that's, yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, a lot of MBA programs are designed, I think, for people to be working full time. So I mean, that is good.
Yeah, it was. They had a corporate program as well, which was built for, professionals. So thankfully my classes were at night.
Nice. And I love that you were able just to kind of ask the universe what you wanted and you found it in, in your job, you know?
I guess manifested it.
Yeah.
I can't believe I still look back and I'm like, I thought that the side money was like going to be enough. And then I got like addicted to being an entrepreneur. Like, there's just something about owning your time and like knowing that it's yours and you get to dictate what you do with it, that is addicting. It is addicting.
I can definitely see that. Yeah. So, yeah, like what's a kind of a day like for you then when you're doing that? Like, what do you do? What are your main responsibilities and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So my main responsibilities in my business are social clients. So I have a variety of different levels of social clients, anywhere from someone buying like 6 hours of my time a month to full-fledged, like I'm running their social platforms for them with all content creation and copywriting. So most of what I do is social related. So I also do social ads. So I'm in social media every single day. And then another part of the business is personal branding. So I've started some personal branding webinars and clients, and I'm actually the keynote for a nursing conference in a month called Midwest Conference for, it's called ISAPN, Illinois Society of Advanced Practice Nursing. So I'm the keynote, I'm one of the keynotes for that conference, virtual conference. I'm very excited about that. And then I also do marketing. I build marketing campaigns for events. So what I didn't realize when I was working in sports was that building a marketing plan for a game is like building a marketing plan for an event. So I have taken that skill that I learned in athletics, that I got a ton of practice at because we had a ton of games, and I've translated it to events for companies and clients and all sorts of things. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of what I do day to day.
Yeah, it honestly never occurred to me that you'd have like a marketing campaign for a game. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, duh, of course they do. Like I remember seeing like Facebook ads or like Facebook events for games and stuff. But yeah, what is that like? Like what all goes into it?
Totally. So marketing a game, oh man, it starts months in advance, but you build a promotional schedule, you decide on your target audiences for each game, you build an ad, a script. So a lot of people don't know that when you're at like a football game or a basketball game and you're hearing the announcer, like talk on the speaker, like saying, something about something happening on the court or something happening on the field, like a recognition or a sponsorship fulfillment. All of that copy is written by somebody in the athletic department. Most of the time, that is the director of marketing. So I would have like 35-page scripts per game. And sometimes we would have 3 games a week.
Yeah, I was like, there's like a game a week. No, 3 games. Wow.
The basketball season, we call it crossover season. So you have football going on, men's and women's basketball going on, volleyball going on. Sometimes you still have soccer, depending how far they're in. So yeah, there's all sorts of sports going on, and you have to write a script for every one of those games.
Oh, wow. How much of that content's reusable?
There are certain parts of it that are reusable, but you still have to, the flow of every game is different. And sponsorship fulfillment per game is different as well. Sadly, right now, where we are in the world, sponsors aren't valuing women's sports the way that I think they should be valuing them. But so there's not as many like sponsorship elements for women's basketball as there is for men's basketball, which I call BS on, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
touchy subject, but obviously you know my view.
Yeah. So I guess what do you do to keep up with all of that and stay organized?
Like in my current role right now or back in the day?
Maybe both.
Both. um, so do you know well, I don't know if anyone knows what Trello is, but it's an organizational tool. I live in Trello. I live in it. I love it. I'm in it every single day. I build social content calendars in it. I would put deadlines in it for script writing. I would assign it to different people. So long story short, I have to be very organized, and I'm very to-do list and deadline oriented person.
Yeah. I feel like you have to be when there's so many moving parts like that.
You do.
Yeah. So kind of going into your current experience with your new company, what has that been like? Like, how did you I guess get that actually started?
Oh, great question. So we started as an LLC and switched to an Escort. You would think that you would learn all this like tax information somewhere in life, but you don't. You don't. So it was a lot of reading and learning it myself. And thankfully, I was doing it with a business partner. I could not have done it without her. So yeah, I recommend doing it with someone else or finding someone who's done it and use them as a resource for it. Health insurance, you don't think about health insurance until you don't have it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get health insurance? How much does this cost? That was one of the first things people would ask me when I told them that I was running my own business. They're like, but what about health insurance? And I'm like, I'm really going to let like $300 a month stop me from going for my dream. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So you get a quote, you reach out to agents and you get a quote, and that's how that works. Square, you can also go through Square to get health insurance. So a lot of this has been trial and error. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. So why make the switch from LLC to S corp?
So honestly, the biggest factor was we were running some political ads, sort of political ads for some clients of ours for legislation that was like going through. And we kind of thought the Escort gave us more protection for like if we did run an ad that for some reason somebody sued us for, we wouldn't get sued as individuals, we'd get sued for the business. So they can't take what you own personally. So that was kind of where we're at. And it would help us divvy up stocks if we brought in future like employees, because sometimes you can't, offer people the salary that you really want to offer them. So there are like other benefits like ownership stake and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what have been some of your favorite parts about running your own company?
Uh, Definitely owning your time. I think I said that earlier, but it's just great. And then I also love my clients. Like I love getting to work with a diverse group of people in diverse array of industries. I think diversity is a key to living a successful life. Like I think you need to immerse that in your life, and I get to do that through my clients, which is super nice. So yeah, that I'm loving that aspect of things.
Very cool, very cool. And what's been challenging?
Oh, that's a great question. I would have to say finding a routine is kind of challenging because there's no one holding you accountable. Like you hold yourself accountable, and then also like turning it off. Like when you own your own business, like either you do it or my business partner does it or it doesn't get done. So you have to like hold yourself accountable. There is no, well, I'll do it next week. No, your word is all you have. Like when you start a business, so if you don't meet deadlines, if you don't deliver for clients, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So one of the big questions about running your own company is how do you determine your rates for people?
Oh, great question. So I did research in the industry, in the social media management industry, and I reached out to other people that were doing things similar to me to get like an array of price ranges. And then ultimately you have to decide, because ultimately people are buying your time. So like, what do you think you're worth? It's kind of what the question that I ask myself. I'm like, okay, how long is this going to take? And what do I want to value my time at? So those are kind of some questions that I ask when we build our rates. But definitely do your industry research, because you want to be comparable to other people. And depending on how bad you need business, you could really lower yourself, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you structure your day now? Like what is a day in a life like for you?
Ooh, so I wake up, I I try to drink a glass of water. That's really hard to drink a full glass of water, but I try to do it. And then I go for a walk and I listen to some sort of podcast for like 15 to 20 minutes. So anything from like Brene Brown to, I think the current one I'm listening to right now is called My First 100K, which is a financial podcast. So I like to try to prime myself with some positivity and some motivation for my day. So I'll go on a walk and I'll listen to my podcast on my walk. And then I come back and make some sort of toast. I like to avocado toast. I don't know if you've seen the cottage cheese like toast trend right now. Kind of interesting. But anyways, I usually eat some sort of toast. And then I dive into my day. I make a to-do list for the day. Usually I make a to-do list for the week on Monday mornings, and I try to knock those off. And then I structure my time by time blocking. So I dedicate this amount of time per client throughout the day. And then usually I play with my dog somewhere in there. And then I call it a day.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like you have a good system.
I'm trying. It's difficult. Like I said, that accountability, man.
Yeah. So what kind of experience does someone need to get into marketing?
Oh, great question. I would recommend some sort of degree. So whether that's an undergrad in marketing or a master's in marketing or an MBA focused in marketing. However, a fun fact, the highest turnover C-suite position is the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, because everyone's got an opinion. So everyone feels like they can market. So that's the tough part about being in marketing, is because marketing is all about perception. Can you create the right perception for this target market? Can you create something that relates to this target market? And when something fails, people always think they could have done it better because it's very opinionated. It's a lot about perception. So that part of marketing is a little bit hard, and it's just trial and error and working in a good culture. So yeah, I would say some sort of degree and then immerse yourself in experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And so were you planning to be kind of a social media specialist, or is that kind of just what happened?
That is what happened. I always loved social, but one of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was, in order to succeed, make your boss's life easier. Make your boss's life easier. So I really tried to take that mindset into my job at Illinois State. And my boss was not immersed in social. He didn't like it. It takes a lot of time. And so I took it on myself to do social research and actually build a strategy. And then I started applying that to my own personal social media a little bit. Um, and I kind of got addicted to it, if I'm being honest. Like, I love the algorithm, and I'm a very competitive person. And so social media algorithms are kind of like my way that I compete in everyday life. So if something goes viral, then you checked everything for the algorithm and it went viral, and that's really cool. And I've had that happen like 2 or 3 times so far in my career, and it's just such a cool feeling. It's like, wow, I actually made something that related to a group of people, or people showed validation by liking it. So that's been cool. That's been really cool.
Yeah, could you tell me a bit more about one or some of your viral posts?
Sure. So I was helping a photographer create, he was a nature photographer, and I was helping him create a marketing plan for his Facebook page. And we did a post about a penguin, that he had taken this really awesome photo of a penguin. And it was just a super beautiful photo and very relatable. And that's before Facebook groups were so like preached upon, but we shared it in a couple different Facebook groups of people that liked wildlife photography, and it ended up taking off. Like, it was just crazy the amount of impressions that it got. And then I had a tweet when I was running, I was in charge of Reggie Redbird's social media account, which is the mascot for Illinois State. And I had a tweet, maybe one or two tweets go pretty viral from that account. And it was a fun account to run because his voice was so playful. Like, you could, like, one time we tweeted something like, we were playing Bradley University and we beat them. And so we tweeted "sucks to be you," like that stood for Bradley University. And it was just so good. It was like one word, two letters, and it took off. And I'm like, that's just neat. It's just neat. So yeah.
That's cool. It's like, oh, I said a funny thing.
That's a funny thing. Yeah. And people are validating me, even though they don't know it's me, they don't know who I am. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so talking about like different social media platforms, what would you say are like things to keep in mind when using the different ones?
Oh, that's a great question. I love Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl. So one thing to keep in mind for the Instagram algorithm is that consistency matters. So when you post on Instagram, if you post main feed posts on the same day every week, Instagram will flag that content as more valuable because you're producing it. So actually, the day of the week that you post on Instagram matters, just consistency wise. And the stories, your stories, when you post a story to your profile, stories count positively towards the algorithm. So the algorithm, flags you as a higher creator than someone who doesn't share things to their stories.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat.
So what are some of your tips for being successful using social media?
Ooh, tips to being successful. My number one tip is to have a content calendar. Even if it's just super vague. I mean, even if it's like, I want to talk about this on Monday. I want to talk about this on Tuesday. I want to talk about this on Friday. Like, even if it's just really bare bones, having some sort of plan will make you more successful. And then my second thing I would say is know who you are and know your goals. Do your goals align with your personal brand? Like, are you putting off the same thing? I had this friend one time call me, and she was like sobbing, and she's like, Jordan, all these guys that I'm going out with, all of them just think that I'm this party girl. And I'm like, well, girl, all you put on your social media is you partying. So that's what they're picking up. They're picking up what you're putting down. My mom gave me a piece of advice one time. She said, the way you get them's the way you keep them. So if you get them by partying, you're going to have to keep partying. So I told her, my advice to her, I was like, change your vibe, change your vibe. Your social media is your digital resume. Would you ever turn in a sloppy resume? No, you'd never hand in a sloppy resume for a job. So why should your social media be sloppy?
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of outside of like work or your day-to-day like work kind of life, what are some skills that you have that you don't feel like you get to use in your career?
Ooh, skills that I have that I don't think I get to use. What a great question. Hmm. Uh, I'm a good catcher.
Yeah.
I spent, oh gosh, I don't know how many years of my life catching in softball. A lot of things from softball has translated to my life, like leadership skills and relationship building, team building, like that sort of deal. But I actually have a lot of softball knowledge right now that I'm not utilizing in my life. And I would like to give back to the game. I'm very competitive. So I don't know if I could like halfway do it. Like if I'm going to do it, I'm like, ooh, like I want to be really immersed in it. And I just don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah. So are you thinking about maybe doing like an adult league or like coaching or?
I would definitely coach before I did an adult league. I did try to do like a slow pitch softball game, and oh, it was hard. It was hard to do because I just spent so many years of my life where that was like my main focus, and it definitely paid off. I mean, I got to play at a Division I school, and I got my education completely paid for. So I'm super grateful for the game. It gave me so much. It also gave me like 80-year-old knees, but like whatever. They creak and they hurt, but that's okay. Uh, but yeah, I would definitely coach before I play it again. It'd be hard to play.
Yeah. Is it because like the skill level or something?
Because like when you're playing a slow pitch softball league, unless you're in a very competitive league, it's like supposed to be fun, you
Mhm.
know? And I can't I don't think losing's fun. If I'm being honest, like we could be playing Uno and I don't want to lose. So that part is like hard for me. And I like my dad instilled in me in a very young age. He's like, I don't care what you choose to do in life. Like you could choose to be a basket weaver, but you're going to be the best basket weaver that you can be. So playing a sport, I need to learn how to be better about that. I have taken up pickleball though. I don't know if you know what
Yeah.
pickleball is. I have taken up pickleball, and I kind of love it. I'm trying not to be too competitive, you know. I'm just like, I'm here for fun, Jordan. This is supposed to be fun. But it's still hard. Still hard.
Yeah, my husband coaches tennis, and so I can't play tennis with him because of that. But like we've tried out pickleball a couple times. I'm still
It's
terrible.
fun. Yeah, it's fun. I don't like to run, so that's a hard sport because you gotta like be super agile.
Yeah,
Pickleball is a smaller scale, you know.
a little less intense.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you do outside of work to decompress? What are your hobbies?
Ooh, thrifting. I love to thrift. Um, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love to thrift everything from clothes to enamelware to I like rusty things. Like I'm attracted to like rust, which is like I get that from my mother. She has put that on me. But I just think it's beautiful in its own way. I also collect bee brooches. So like brooches that are like they look like a bee, not the letter B, but a bumblebee. So I love to like hunt those. And I want to like make a blue jean jacket and like put a little design with all my bees right there. I think that would be super cute. So yeah, I love to thrift. And then I love to go on like nature walks, like not like intense hiking because I'm not into like intense hiking, but I love to go on walks. I just think they're great for conversation, and I love to see new things. And it's not like you're camping, you're just like going out there and then coming back.
Nature, but still like sleeping in your bed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Speaking of like going back home, I saw you bought a house recently. How did you know you were ready to buy a house? Because I like still haven't bought one, and it's like such a big decision.
It is such a big decision. How did I know I was ready? Here's the deets. I didn't know I was ready. I feel like everybody's winging life. Like you can look at someone and think like they have their stuff together, but I bet 9 times out of 10, they're winging it and they're doing it well. But I guess to answer your question, so I had been in Normal, Illinois for 5 years, and I had lived in 3 different places there. I went from an apartment to a house to another house. And I told myself because I wanted to move back south, I really wanted to move back south. And so I told myself whenever I moved back south, that it was going to be like more of a permanent thing for a while. So I was like, I want to buy a house. It was also one of my goals before 30 to own a home. So yeah, I did it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things is like you got to know you're gonna live somewhere for a while.
I do. Yeah, I definitely think that. But right now, the housing market is insane. Like it is just booming. So I really do think of it as an investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, on the more personal side, how did you meet your partner?
Oh, very good question. So, my partner's name is Hayden Young. I met him in grad school, but we were just good friends. But he actually worked in the athletic department with me. So he was the director of facilities and projects there, and I was the director of marketing. So we met at Illinois State. And I was going through some things in life. So we were just like really good friends. And then later on, I was like, maybe. And he had been asking me out for a while. So I finally gave him a shot. And we will be dating officially a year, October 20th. October 20th. Yep. 10/20/20 is our anniversary.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. And okay. So my last question is, how would you say your life has changed since becoming an adult?
Oh, what a question. Hashtag adulting. Uh, there's so many things that fall in that umbrella. But how has my life changed? I think that I have gotten way better at emotional intelligence. So just knowing what I need from myself and from others, I think is something that I have gotten better with as an adult. And then, I mean, bills, that's a pretty obvious one. I think, you're in college and you think you have bills, like you don't have bills in college, like you have bills after college. And I would say the other part that has changed, making friends. Making friends as an adult is like a difficult thing to do. Because you take for granted in college, like you have these like built-in friend systems. So I had the softball team, I had the sorority, then you have your major, the people that you're in class with all the time. And then you get out in the real world and you're like, how do I meet people? And then a pandemic hits and you're like, it's not even safe for me to meet people. And then a vaccine comes out and part of the world gets it and part of the world doesn't. And then you're like, I still feel uncertain. I'm like, what do I do? So yeah, making friends is been a very different part of adulting.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate. Yeah, well, it's been really great catching up with you, Jordan. If you are you open to people reaching out to you if they?
Of course. Yeah, so I think I'll pass along my email address for you, but Jordan at the number three, mcmedia.com is my email address. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Jordan Olivia Ashley. And that is Jordan, Jordan. I don't know why my parents put an A in there. I feel like that's a total male thing to do, but it is what it is.
I was like, wait, I was just trying to think like, what are the other ways to spell? Jordan?
Why is such a beautiful way to do it.
Uh-huh.
I've even seen eyes, but every Jordan that I see that's Jordan is usually a male. A female, or not female, a woman is usually spelled with a Y.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Well, anyway, well, yeah, thanks again. It was really great talking to you.
Of course, it was great talking to you, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been super fun catching up.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single show. Interested in being on the show? Know someone that might be a good fit? Use the nomination form in the description.